real estate team here at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. I'm Mark Wehner, the second team leader, Champions Real Estate Team. Joining me today is Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage. So we jump on every Wednesday, kind of try to do it around the lunch hour, depending on our schedules. But I'm going to give you a rundown what's gone on in the real estate market over the last week. Kind of what we're hearing locally and even what we're hearing nationally. You know, obviously the medias and stuff like that. We try to just kind of taper it to local, what's happening here, and not reading the press clippings out there in the general, news media, so we can kind of make your education and your decisions a little bit easier. So, but let's jump straight into our numbers here for us. So as it pulls in for you guys. So basically we had 468 new listings go live in the last week. We had 356 new contracts written or homes go under contract, and 550 hopefully happy new homeowners. So looking at these numbers, last week we had just under 700 new listings as we take into account. But I think what we were looking at there is I think some of the new construction, we had a bump in new construction listings that went live. So if you look back a handful of weeks, we've kind of been hovering around that 450 to 500 new listing mark weekly. And our pending contracts have been hovering about that 350 mark, give or take, which is very, common, or very, from a historical standpoint, is very typical of that time frame. So I don't think any concern. I think we're in that kind of same typical market that we've been in. And let's jump into the 30,000 foot view. So as this pulls in here, so we had just under 2,300 active listings in the Omaha and Lincoln area. So we had, so I did take out the no-show listings, and then so that basically means they're on the MLS, but they're not out there to the open, the public. Then we had, just breaking that down to the Omaha metro area, just over 1,300 active listings for your viewing pleasure. And then we break that down even further. We have existing homes. We have just under 600 active listings for you to take a look at. New construction, as you see, that's that number I was talking about. If you watched a couple of videos a couple of weeks ago, we had it, probably right on that 450 mark, 500. Sorry, I got my daughter here with me. So got a 2.5-year-old jumping in with us today. So anyways, and then we got months of inventory here, 1.3 months supply of inventory. That's ticked up a little bit, probably because those new construction homes jumped on the market. And we had 316 active, or 316,000 your average sale price, up about 13% from this time last year. We're also up. I mean, when you kind of look at the percentage, so last year at this time, I know it's not on the diagram, but we were about 1,600 active listings at this time, so we're up about 29%. So that's good. We're kind of getting back to more of a little bit of a normal market, and we're still seeing some of those multiple offers. We're seeing home inspections. You all done? Okay, just a second. She just got done eating lunch. So, anyways. But as we see that the numbers are basically kind of historically where we're at. So, yes, I mean, like I said, in kind of previous weeks, I think it's a great time to buy, a great time to sell. Those, and making sure that we're pricing those homes and we're selling them properly. From that perspective, I mean, as we're doing a market analysis, if we're looking at homes the last 2 months, those may have had those multiple offers driven the price up. So we need to make that sure that that's going to be where it should be. And since we're not in a multiple offer market, maybe adjusting our price to what the market is allowing for those sale prices, and not being greedy. I mean, over the last couple of years, we've gone up, in the last 5 years, we've gone up over 50% on average in the Omaha area of appreciation. So if you've bought your house in the last couple of years, and you got a good chunk of appreciation, good chunk of equity in your home, not necessarily the best thing to be greedy, because your home may sit on the market and you may actually get a little bit less than what we would tell you is, hey, here's a good fair price for your house. And if you want to go up above that, buyers know what they're doing, they're educated, and the agents are in that same standpoint, and it'll end up potentially getting less than that initial price that us as agents have probably told you based on the market data. So, and from a buyer standpoint, you're getting a little chance to be a little bit more, picky, in that regard. So, and seeing some of those houses maybe on the market for a little bit longer, and they've priced them a little bit higher based on the multiple offer market. If you kind of look at it from that perspective, you can come in and get a fair price for a house, or even wait, a little bit for that perfect house. So I guess what's going on in your world, Russ, and I'll let you take it over and go from there.
Mark, mortgage rates are holding fairly stable. We saw a little bit of improvement leading up to yesterday, when we saw rates soften and worsen just a little bit, but they're still very good. 30-year fixed rate money is in most cases somewhere in the fives for primary occupancy with some strong credit. We're also seeing some I guess we're watching, I should say, to see what happens with Friday's non-farm payroll report, commonly called the jobs report out of the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics. The market's really watching that closely. We have lots of indicators that suggest we might be sitting on the precipice of a recession, but jobs are still really good. If that jobs number comes in weak, that might start to push more economists and even the folks that label recessions to say that we are falling into recession. But if the jobs numbers come in very strong, that might put extra pressure on the Fed to be even more aggressive with trying to stop inflation. Earlier this year, one of the Fed presidents, Neil Kashkari out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minnesota or of Minneapolis, had even as late as April was thinking that inflation was transitory. What we're seeing is, as we all know, when we go to the grocery store or gas station, it's not. We're still spending money, of course. But some of the Fed governors have been slow to come around to this idea that the inflation is sticky and they need to be more aggressive with it to try to get it back under control. Having said that, Mark, as we talked about in prior weeks, when the Fed does raise short-term rates, certainly that can affect credit cards, student loans, and auto loans, but it can actually help mortgage rates because it's viewed that the Fed is fighting inflation. Inflation is the arch enemy of mortgage rates. So as the Fed does more to try to stop inflation, we could see interest rates improve a little bit. We're down quite a bit from where we were in the mid-June when we saw the highest rates of the year. But that's a very good thing. We're also starting to see, as I know you are too, that more buyers are able to ask for some things of the seller. Not in all cases. We're still seeing a lot of multiple offer situations, but we're seeing some FHA and USDA transactions getting accepted. We're seeing some home inspections included in offers. So we are starting to see that buyers do have a little bit more say in the offer. And we probably will see that for a little while. Hopefully inventory will continue to rise a little bit because we desperately need the demand is still out there. But it's a great time to buy, folks. And if you're looking to sell, this is a great time to sell as well. Make sure you give Mark and his team a call. He'll be back in just a second.
Sorry, just giving a couple cookies to the kiddo. So
send one my way.
Yeah, right. So keep them entertained. So, but yeah, so I like he was talking about jobs reports. I think there's a lot of data out there that's going to be kind of coming out. You know, as like you said, I think that's a good point. When people hear that the feds are raising rates, I think that people think that that's just rates all across the board, and it's not. So it is. It's just making sure you're talking to an educated lender like Russ, you know, and getting, you know, figuring out what's the best course of action for you at this time. You know, I've had clients that are talking about maybe they want to wait, you know, until next year. I don't necessarily see. I still see a very high demand for housing. I think the report I read, you know, a couple of months ago is that we were in the Omaha metro area like 6,000 homes short of just houses that are needed in the area. So I don't think, you know, that pressure on the demand is going to let up. You know, I think right now we're just kind of seeing a little bit of the historical time frame where it slows down a little bit right before school. People are on vacation, all that kind of fun stuff. Then school kind of gets settled. Everyone gets comfortable with their new schedules now with sports and stuff like that, or whatever they got going on, activities. And then Labor Day, everyone's kind of back out, and you kind of get another good push, you know, until about the Halloween timeframe. Then no one wants to move in December, all that kind of stuff. So I still think it's a great time, you know, to get with, you know, myself or anyone here at the Champions Real Estate team or Russ, just to get a game plan, just talk about it so that you're educated rather than just reading the press clippings out there of what's going on in the market. Because I mean, if you're reading articles in the World Herald, love the World Herald, great publication. But the fact is, a lot of times their publications are 2 months, a month and a half behind of what's actually going on in the market. Now, if you're working with a part-time agent that may only sell a couple houses a year, they may think that that's what's going on. But if you're out there writing contracts, showing houses, listings, all that kind of fun stuff, you know that sometimes those numbers may be skewed and kind of their perspective of maybe a little bit skewed. So get with one of us here. We're happy to help you, happy to educate you, you know, whether you want to buy a house next week, next month, next year. We just want to get you the information as soon as possible so that you can make the best decisions for you. So anyways, I think our time is about running out over here on my side of the camera.
The buzzer's going off, Mark.
Yeah, right? Cookies are wearing out, so she ate them all. But anyways, well, I appreciate everyone jumping in, watching us. If you're watching us live or you're checking us out later, give us a holler. Happy to help anybody. My number is 402-672-7670, or you can reach out to Russ at 290-8936. Call us, text us. Happy to help you. And we'll talk to everybody next week, and stay cool out there.